Please give this video a like and subscribe!
All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame. Men want children, and that's disgusting. Where we're going to be going through this Buzzfeed listicle because it's 2015 all over again, I guess, not 2026.
Well, it's always time. Like, it's always the era for hating on men for no apparent reason. Like, was this something that needed to happen? Was anybody really talking about this? Was there anything like occurring? Nope. BuzzFeed just comes out with something. Let's hate on men today. What's the topic?
Yeah.
Roll the wheel. Roll the wheel of misandry. And just find out what it lands on, and let's hate on men for it. All right, so here we are. Okay, go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
That's all right. So we have this article from BuzzFeed called "This Woman Asks Why So Many Men Want Kids While Women Don't," and the top responses are honestly hard to argue with. So a woman, yeah.
As in, when they say hard to argue with, they mean completely.
It's hard to
unsourced?
argue for children.
No, I mean that it's completely unsourced. They never asked a man, so.
Oh no, BuzzFeed doesn't. No,
we're gonna go in and we're gonna engage in a feat of astounding ignorance, complete blind ignorance, right? Not even bothering to ask men why they might want to have kids. No, we're just gonna go to our child free, and I don't have a problem. Like, if these women don't want to have children, fine. But do you have to engage in misandry? Right? Do you have to do that? Is it necessary to generate hostility towards a completely different group that has nothing to do with your decision? Right? In the process of living your life. Right? Is that necessary? Yeah. Apparently it is. All right. So do you want me to do the things before we get on with it?
Yeah, do the things.
All right. So if you would like to send a message at any point throughout the show, the best way to do so is at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Best way for you to send us a tip and a comment with that tip, because you avoid YouTube's comment roulette system, I suppose, and we get the full benefit of whatever funds you send. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip. And I don't have it up yet, but it will be available when you want to support the show. You can go to feedthebadger.com/support. And if you would like to join us and learn more about my frameworks for analyzing reality, go to badgernation.online. And again, maybe I'll look into some kind of email list. Let's revive that in this year of our Lord 2026. Go back to the email list. Actually, should we have ever left email as like the main way of socializing on the internet? Has anything good come of it?
I mean, I still use it, but I don't know. That's a good point.
Has anything good come of going to? Well, I mean, I guess Usenet it would be fine, but like, has anything good come of all of these other social media outlets? I mean, I know you don't like to blame social media for our inherent issues, but maybe we should have considered the devil we were summoning. Anyway, so feedthebadger.com/justthetip if you want to send us a message. Get those messages in, guys.
I just got one.
Oh, we did. Is it from Nikki, or is
no,
it?
Okay. No, Dark Ikimura.
No.
This one is from. No, we got one from Sleepy Aussie. He gives us $50. Thank you, Sleepy Aussie. Really appreciate it. And I'll give you a sound for that. And he says, "Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you, Allison. I took your advice from your rant about men's technical thinking, the one about the water line in the container, and chose a job of fixing helicopters on my Army application over my original plan of medic. I did surprisingly well in the aptitude test and unlocked the role. If I had stuck with medic, I would be doing nursing after the army, but now I have options for more technical jobs. Also, good to see you, Brian, and on Paul Elam's new podcast. Well, thank you, Sleepy Aussie. Appreciate that.
Wow, I'm glad to have helped that, as long as that, I mean, whether or not that was in real life or perhaps a game. I don't
video
know.
game
A
decision.
video game.
No,
Yeah.
I think he's doing a sleeper build for himself. Sleepy Aussie.
Okay.
A sleeper build. I don't know, maybe.
But no, I think it was probably after my rant about, I don't know, if you're going into education, try to choose fields that are play to men's strengths if you're a man.
Yeah.
Because that's a good plan if you want to avoid being dealing with, I guess, the HR PR nightmares. I mean, you still will, but they can't replace you, because women either don't want your job or functionally can't do it. And I'm going to be right here and say that there are jobs that women cannot do. And it's not even because of them physically. It's because 40% of female undergraduates, college students, fail the waterline test. So there are certain things that women just are not inclined to and may be functionally incapable of doing. Go there, young man. Find your path there. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's the super chat. So
well, thank you for that, Super Aussie, Sleepy Aussie. I'm glad to help. Shall we continue?
Yeah. Well, we got to start.
Yeah. Well, right. Yes. See, already with the being able to pass the waterline test thinking there, Brian.
Yeah. So let's get into the article now. This is Buzzfeed, Sex and Love. God. So the reason why I said, like, Buzzfeed, I haven't heard from since, like, the old Gamergate days. Takes me back. I thought they were gone. I thought they were done telling people which Disney princess they were. I thought that was over, but no, it hasn't gone away. It still exists. Apparently, though, they are asking for memberships. So I guess we'll have to look into how well BuzzFeed's been doing since the rest of the world has moved on. But all right, this is BuzzFeed's Sex and Love section, and the title of the article is "This Woman Asks Why So Many Men Want Kids While Women Don't," and the top responses are honestly hard to argue with. Men want kids the way a toddler wants a puppy. By Victoria Volumanos, BuzzFeed contributor. This is alive, yeah. All right.
This is gonna be a balanced look into the question, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. It's gonna be very, very intellectually dense. We're gonna be enlightened by this. It used to be a running joke that men were afraid of commitment. The wife was the ball and chain, and the kids were something women had to pressure them to. But lately, an increasing number of women say the script has flipped entirely. Now they're the ones opting out of parenthood, while men are the ones pushing for marriage and babies. Okay. Has that been true? So, like, they're immediately making a claim. It used to be a running joke that men were afraid of commitment. Is that true?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when in the time of men being afraid of commitment, we seem to have a lot more marriage. It's like the whole thing about divorce and how they talk about how horrible it was that only men could get divorced. Supposedly that wasn't actually the case, but let's just assume it's the case. But when only men had the ability to get divorced, according to feminists, if we assume that to be true, the divorce rate was like 0.05%.
Yep.
So what does that say about the ability to commit to a relationship between the sexes? Just putting it out there, right? And the other thing is this because the desire for children and marriage has declined among women, so that it's now lower than men, or has like men's increased? I think it's that men's has gone lower less, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be entirely consistent with having a ideology that is embedded into every aspect of our society and is probably commands $1 trillion worth of annual income, telling women that, having a husband and children is the worst thing you could do with your life. Like maybe that has something to do with it. Hey, I mean,
Mhm.
this is another case of we did this thing. What a shock that this thing has happened, right? Like Buzzfeed is part of that entire complex. What a shock. We told women to hate men and not have children. They don't like men and they're not having children. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like, oh, what a mystery. Oh.
All right. So yeah. So now they're claiming that men didn't want kids or commitment before, but now they do. I just don't think that's true. I think
And
that's a
no
lie.
curiosity?
And I think they're starting from a false premise right off the bat. Because the media, this is another case of feminists referencing themselves for the truth. Like, oh, media says that men, like, think women, the wife is the ball and chain, and they don't want to stick around and raise their kids, like, while they have fathers in their life, like, while that most people are doing that. In fact, it's only things like I don't know, the welfare state that's discouraged this kind of thing. But they start off with a false premise, then they claim that it's flipped recently, like guys just suddenly decided they want kids. And of course, even that claim being untrue, with the claim on top of it, they're going to use this new lie that they've piled on the old lie to tell another lie about men, which is that they actually don't want kids. They just like the idea of kids, in the same way that women don't want to be wives, they like the idea of weddings. So they don't want babies. They just like baby showers. They like being pregnant. But
Out
anyway,
of curiosity, what
hmm?
do you think they would say if the finding was that when men didn't want to get married or have children?
Then
What would the
they'd
headline
get
be?
shamed for that. Yeah,
Yes.
they'd be back at
So
the old ball and chain
you
argument
see
that
the
they started
problem
this
here?
with.
The problem
Yeah.
is that we ask men about their opinion, period. Right? That men ever deliver their opinion, that men have an opinion, that men even have a substrate inside them to have an opinion. That's the problem. If we just get rid of that, the world would be a perfect utopia. If we just get rid of men's ability to have their own subjective experience and just excise it out of them, it would be beautiful. The world would be wonderful. Isn't that right, Buzzfeed? Just get rid of men, not what they do, because we still sort of need that, but just get rid of that, the part that complains, makes opinions, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Just get rid of it. The subjective part of it, the human part of man. Just get rid of it. Why can't you
Yep.
do that, men? Why can't you become hollow golems that just do instructions? Why are you so misogynist? Why do you continue to exist as an entity? Didn't you know if you loved women, you would just spontaneously destroy your consciousness? Okay,
All right.
let's keep going.
So
I
as
don't
a
believe
woman,
that. If this ends up in a freaking short, I don't actually believe that. Don't go in the comments and be like, "What is wrong with this woman?" Okay.
yeah. As a woman myself, I remember when I was a kid slash teenager, everyone said that marriage and kids were a ball and chain to a man. Never tell a man you want kids or he'd run away.
You
So
heard of reverse
wrote, I
psychology?
guess, you slash crystallize koi wrote in Our Child Free. So here, this is exactly what I was talking about. I was told by people who hate men that men hate women, and I believe it. Okay. Um, Now it seems like women are largely the ones who don't want children, and men are determined to find a wife who wants their babies. They want, notice the framing in that one too. Men who want their babies. So, like, not men who want to start a family, men who want women to have their babies, like it's a possession, like it's a piece of property.
Do you realize it's also yours, lady?
No, it doesn't. No, it's men wanting them. It's got to be something out of a movie. It's got to be
It's like
something. Yeah. Um.
merging, I guess, with another human
Some
being.
something that makes reference to men being evil oppressors at all times. Like that's the baseline. That's like step zero. That's why when men want something, it's always at expense of women. If men have an opinion on something, it's at the expense of women. If men say, "Well, I'd really like to start a family," it's like they don't hear that. It's they hear, I really wish I could enslave a woman, force her to have my children against her will. You know, that's it. And like, you know, have sex with her whenever I want for
And
like
men
whatever
can
reason.
never fix this. I'm sorry, tradcons. Men cannot fix this. This is an error being introduced into women's thoughts by a toxic ideology, right? Because there's nothing you cannot. If you're a man, anything you do is wrong, as long as they're insist on reading bad intent into you, and they are insisting on it. Right? This article has no excuse for existing at all. No excuse.
Mm-hmm.
This should not exist. Like maybe it could be on its own little forum in the middle of nowhere where, but the fact that it is published, of course it's Buzzfeed, so, but still, I mean, this could be on Guardian, right? This could be a Guardian article. This could be something going into the UK legislature and being debated as a new school curriculum item. Because you know that they're gonna latch onto something like this. There is no hatred of men that the UK, what's it, Parliament, House of Lords, whatever you got there. There's nothing that the UK government doesn't love. Just rub itself to completion over. There's no misandry. It can't metabolize. No misandry too far for the UK. Of course, that's true about Canada too.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's keep going.
All right.
Should shut up a bit so we can get further in.
Yeah, it's a long article. It's like a 22 point list. All right. So now it seems like women are the ones largely who don't want children, and men are the ones determined to find a wife who wants their babies. They want a traditional marriage and a nuclear family. Again, poorly framed, like this bad framing. Meanwhile, I see a lot of women who feel like men lie to them about not wanting kids and inevitably switch up on them, thinking they will change their minds, being called selfish or being told they're not following God's word. Again, that's a straw man, but this is like typical, right?
How did you know? How did you not know you were in a relationship with a religious man? Okay? Like, how did that not come up? He got you married and then he sprang his religion on you?
I
It's
mean, is
nonsense.
wanting kids, do you have to be religious to want kids?
No, but they're saying the guy is like, well, now we're married. I'm going to spring God's plan on you. Well, how did you not like that framework? What I'm saying, Brian, is that framework that this guy is religious and you are in a long-term relationship with him and you did not know. I'm saying the framework is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, but
constructing a scenario that makes absolutely no sense in order to create the premise for a grievance. And I'm just calling him out for that. That's all. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you. I'm not like saying that you have to be religious to want kids.
no, I know. I'm not saying that either, but it is okay. Here's what
Read.
my red flag pops up for me when how this transitioned from man wants children to man wants nuclear family and traditional marriage. So this is like different. Like it's not, so it goes from like, I want kids to I want a marriage to I want a traditional marriage to I want a traditional marriage and a nuclear family to this is God's plan. So what I'm saying is there's like a movement that's happening here that starts off one way, which is like kind of broad and kind of like, you know, innocuous, not really like that let's say not really that I don't know, like offensive, you know, like, oh, I want kids. And then you land on it's God's word, you're not following it. And I think that the purpose of that shift is to attack men, attack family, attack fatherhood, and attack God at the same time. That's what the purpose of that is to me. It's just how you get there so that people don't even notice that this has happened, where you didn't go from like, hey, I just want kids to it's God's plan. Like the guy turns from like a dude in a polo shirt and khakis to like being like, you know, a fucking 17th century Puritan with a Bible in his hand, like slamming it on the table. That it's an attempt to characterize all of these things as negative by adding the word God to the sentence. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's like they're attributing something negative to it.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Yeah.
also, at this point, a traditional marriage and nuclear family, essentially what they mean is a man wants a wife and children. That's it. That's all that
Yeah.
traditional marriage means now. She could be working. She could be the CEO of some high-power company or something, but as long as that they're married and having kids, that's a traditional marriage. So you can't avoid the stigmata of a traditional marriage, which is the most horrible thing in the world, unless you are married to your own mental otherkin or married to the same sex, but even that's questionable now. Or married to a tree, or not married, or married to a polycule. Like there's no way to avoid being targeted for this condemnation of being traditional unless you are not a man and you are not a woman and you are not married and you do not have kids. Preferably all of that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just saying that's what the logical steps
Yes,
are.
no,
That's
I
what I'm
got it. I
saying.
got it. That's a
Yeah,
little bit, I think, close to what I was saying as well, except I was saying that the entire premise is absurd.
it is.
Yeah. I mean, I probably should suspend my desire for things to make sense since we are reading through a Buzzfeed article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. BuzzFeed is basically like a website that gets all of its topics off of Reddit, which is why I think they constantly make articles because they're like, let's go to Reddit and see what cancer we can pull out and then write an article about it. And that's what I think all of BuzzFeed is just Reddit posts turned into article format. So, all right. But anyway, the post racked up nearly 800 upvotes and 178 comments before it was locked. However, the responses painted a pretty consistent picture. People shared their theories, personal stories, conversations with their grandmothers, and more. Here's what they had to say, and then we have the list, okay? All right. Number one, the initial statement itself is worth questioning to begin with. Did women in general want kids? Or was there, even just a few decades ago, often even more pressure, less information, and fewer resources for people to make their own informed choices for their lives and bodies? The same question is still often relevant today. Do people want kids, or do they want everything they've been taught that having kids will get them?
Okay. Just a couple decades ago?
Just a
Less, even more
couple of
pressure.
hundred or so years ago.
Yeah. Just okay, so basically in 2006, more pressure, less information, and fewer resources for people. Make their own informed. No, we had more resources because you guys aren't making informed decisions. You're making decisions based on resentment narrative that's patently false. All of you running towards the cliff in a herd means you have less capacity to make your own informed choices, ladies. Yet the women today are more brain dead than they've ever been. And their choices, I mean, honestly, the fact that they will follow an ideology, and when you point it out, well, you guys are more miserable than you've ever been, and they'll say, well, that's just the cost of feminism. The cost of feminism is women's misery. That's just the way it is. And it's like you're accepting that. You will continue to adhere to this ideology and its belief system despite personal cost. What is that? The behavior of cultists? People who don't have their own mind? People who are brainwashed? People who don't understand their options? Right? People who are literally enslaving themselves. And there is no reason to believe that feminism has your best interests at heart, ladies. And quite a few reasons to believe it doesn't. That it is, in fact, the manifestation, the collective manifestation of elite women's desire to destroy every other woman's reproductive opportunities, every other woman's happiness, every other woman's access to resources, and instead turn them into drones for their own reproductive status and power projects. right? And yet women keep getting suckered into this shit. And the funny thing is that I'm like listening to this. Okay, this is a while back. I think it was one of those Helen. You remember that libertarian feminist? She did
Of
a
course.
video. She did a video where she was talking about women, talking about their lives. And I was listening to this one woman describe this relationship she had with a man. And I was just like, my jaw was on the floor because it was like she was describing being in a Cold War with Russia with this guy. It's like, I have to take response. And I'm like, no, get a man who shows up. That's what you do. This is what this system has constructed in women. They tolerate shit we wouldn't have 30, 40 years ago. If he, I mean, no offense, I'm not trying to be misandrous, but if he isn't showing up, he doesn't care about you. Move on.
No,
Don't
yeah. I mean,
sit
women should be
there.
able to just determine whether or not a man is good for
Yeah,
them. But
they
instead, they
don't.
think they instead of like adapting to the reality, they just want to change the man. It's kind of like
Yeah,
how society they work in society. Like, oh well,
they,
society isn't giving me what I want, so I got to change society instead of changing my expectations.
well, just like, I wouldn't tolerate that kind of behavior. Like he's withholding, you have to constantly monitor whether or not you're getting too attached. At least he, I don't know, just it's like, what is this? Like, what is that? Why would you even want this? And you know why? Because he's probably in that top 5% with a whole bunch of other female orbiters. But that's the thing. This attitude today leads to women tolerating stuff like that. Yeah, and they're not getting anything. Like, what is she, if she orbits a top 5% man for the next 30 years, what's she going to have at 50? At 60? Nothing. Nothing. She's not going to have a relationship. She's not going to have a companion, a partner. She's going to have nothing. And that's what this entire landscape that they're like, oh, a couple decades ago, you didn't have info. Yeah, when I was making my decisions, you're damn right I was informed. I was better informed than you guys are acting. If you're making these kinds of decisions, or you're letting your own fear of missing out or your own self-entitlement, which isn't that, I think it's actually profound insecurity, to make your decisions for you, rather than realizing, hey, actually, this is not a good situation for me to be in. Orbiting a top 5% man, who incidentally he's not, by the way, orbiting a man that other women want, right? That's not actually a really good place for me to be. But this entire framework that this Buzzfeed article is embedded in consistently produces women that make the worst choices. And then they have the audacity to say that women a generation ago didn't know what they were doing. Compared to you, we definitely knew what we were doing. Enjoy your misery. Oh, and also you guys are dating each other. The women of this generation are like dating each other, so their rape and domestic violence is going up. So enjoy that too, I guess. And your mental health is going down. Right? Enjoy that. Like, I'm actually starting to take this personally because I'm old enough now that when they say a couple decades ago, they're talking about women like me. And it's like, no, my dear. You guys are making pathologically worse choices, pathologically less informed choices. And you are reaping the benefits of that pathology in misery, SSRIs, dysfunction, abortions, complete lack of any meaningful relationships in your life, and apparently a whole bunch of homosexual relationships in which you beat and rape each other. Congratulations. These are some fantastic informed decisions. Okay.
Yeah. All right. With more available information and resources, more people are able to realize the fault in that logic and step away from it. And in the age of social media, it's also easier than ever for them to talk publicly about it, even if it's still seen as taboo. Remember, this person's whole world revolves around 20 years ago, and not like, I don't know, all of human history. I mean, like even this person's parents were like before 20 years ago. So it's kind of a ridiculous thing. But anyway, similarly, did men in general used to not want kids? No. Or that's not true. Most men do, most women do. That's just true. Well, anyway, Or were they just able to more conveniently reject the responsibility while still getting the supposed benefits of having a child because they could offload that responsibility on the woman who more outwardly wanted it? Again, those men you probably shouldn't be having kids with, but then you'd have to learn how to vet them. But then you'd have to have somebody who can help you do that. But then you would need a father in your life that's good at being able to vet these people. So you have no one to blame but yourself or your mom if it was because of your dad. But anyway, if you look under the hood, you'll see that even in the past, many women didn't actually want kids, just like many don't today. What does many mean? What is it? Many? What does that mean? Many could be like more than four.
Those women who don't want children, all of you, go be sure to tell your children that you didn't want them so they stop having to spend money on you for Mother's Day. Please do. Like all these grandmas and moms out there, you don't want your kids, you never wanted your kids. Please tell them so that they can, get out of the shackles of having to acknowledge you on Mother's Day. Let's be honest, like just show them where you all stand. Right? Just give them a letter. I never wanted you. Stop saying this anonymously on the internet. Say it where it matters, where it has consequences to you, not where you can start destroying the lives of other women based on things you don't actually believe and never would actually speak in public. Like, how much of this is some kind of contagion? Like, it's become this whole thing where women are like, women of older generations talk down about their life choices, about their families, and everybody's okay with that. So if men were doing that, men of that generation were doing that, they would be slammed so hard. But women could just do that. They just like, yeah, I hated everything about my life, including you, little Susie and Tommy. Oh, you little fuckers. I wanted to just abort you. I wanted to throw you in a sewer, crush your head with a rock. I never did because I'm just that giving. Like, seriously.
Am I not merciful?
Like, and this is like, you put this stuff out. BuzzFeed puts this out, and it's like, you don't think about how this reflects on women generally. Like, and it's the honest to God truth is you don't. This seems to be a common sentiment. If women pipe up at all, it's to condemn men, to condemn their families, to condemn their husbands. I mean, I guess there's still a little bit of pushback if they do awful shit to their children. People suddenly, there's a bit of a line there still, right? I guess that's the next thing that feminism is going to have to break down. Why shouldn't women be able to beat their children? Why shouldn't they be able to pimp them out? Like, that'll be feminism's next new thing. You shouldn't shame female abusers. They're just living their best life. Okay, my disgust is rising. I should never have chosen Buzzfeed. Okay, keep going.
All right. So, but their options for realizing that and following through with it were worse than to get today. For those men who view kids as a status symbol, it's a problem if now they need to proactively express wanting a kid and find a woman who will want to have kids with them because they prefer a world where all women want kids and they can get the outcome they want without actually lifting a finger for it. It shifted. This sounds completely like a divorce from reality. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just like these people.
Do men see having kids as a status symbol?
No. No.
Really?
I have never seen a man trot out his kids and said, "Look at this. I got a lot of status here."
I see a lot of women do it.
I mostly what I see is, if there's a bunch of kids, a guy's wrangling them. Usually better than a woman too. That's what's really odd. Like,
unless he named his kids Bugatti and Lambo.
Yeah.
I don't see him using it
He's
for
more
status.
likely to name them why I don't have a Bugatti.
Yeah. This is like looking into like the Looking Glass. Like, this is another world that this woman is talking about.
You're in the circus music.
No idea. Yeah, this is the circus. All right. it shifted from something they didn't need to want because it was guaranteed to happen inevitably to something that's no longer a certainty. So the ones just there to milk the benefits are now panicking at the prospect of losing them. You/Chavril freak.
Okay. Okay. Now that statement was because on a survey, I think 67% of young men said they wanted children. Now, that statement that she just made, 67%. So there's no panic. They're just like, yeah, I guess I would like to have kids. Or maybe it was even more like, yes, having kids is part of what I see for myself. But do you see how much she read into that?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God, it's a horrible patriarchal conspiracy.
This is like,
egotism
this is
and
like
panic.
literally what
They
women
want
do.
to
Like,
enslave us.
they get mad at you because they had a dream that you did something in it, and they read into it and then they get mad at you. Yeah, I mean, like, I can't, I don't get it. Like, I'm just not a woman. I don't get it. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you. This is probably social signaling. The hostility is a way of maintaining in-group, or alternatively, a group activity in which you go and you just find someone and you ostracize them as a group in order to feel good about yourself. And this is something that I'm just going to say it, women are drawn to.
Yeah.
It's just especially when they don't have any kind of context. And what I mean by context is any kind of survival pressure or anything, any expectations that are difficult. You know,
Yeah.
we got to bring back the like female initiation rites, in which when a girl gets to the age of like 12 or 13, she's forced to like dance for 3 days or something, or do a marathon run, or sit in a hut for 3 months by herself,
Yeah.
contemplating existence. Just some kind of trial. But actually, what's really interesting is those tribes that still do that. The women who go through it, when they go through menopause, they have less symptoms. So it's doing something good for them.
There you go. Yeah,
Well,
I
actually,
believe it.
their menopausal transition is much easier because of that puberty priming or conditioning that they go through. Maybe we should bring that back. Have some kind of strenuous thing that girls need to go through.
We'll add
instead of
that
just
to the
being like,
Project 2025 wish list.
yeah, exactly. Hunter-gatherer initiation ritual for girls.
Let's go.
Let's bring
Better
it
than the
back.
Girl Scouts, tell you what.
No, yeah,
Number-
the Girl Scouts accept more metal.
Yeah, make it exactly. Number 2. It's often said men want kids like kids want a puppy. Again, it's often said. Doesn't mean anything. I heard this once. Until recently, men didn't have to want kids. It was just sort of assumed that a woman they were romantically involved with would want them first and pressure them into it at some point. Again, this is all lies. Like that, it assumes that men never want this. Where do you get that assumption from? Well, these liars told me that they do that because they want me to hate men, but I believe them and I don't question that they're saying that because everybody says it. Because that's how propaganda works,
And that's because I have options that women never had.
That's that's just what they say. So I guess it's true.
I'm more free than ever before. More free. God damn.
I think women should lose their television privileges. they can't interpret like media. They just see as facts, especially when it's a woman saying it.
Okay.
Remove Chelsea Handler from TV. Remove Samantha Bee. No, she's been removed. She doesn't do TV anymore. All right. Anyway, then slowly, fewer women started pressuring fewer men, and something they assumed would just eventually happen was no longer inevitable. And suddenly, men looked around and realized they were in their 30s and 40s, and no one was pressuring them into it anymore. What men realize, dude? This is so.
God,
so backwards. Are you kidding me? Who the hell is pressuring men? And how are men like, oh my God, I'm 30, my eggs are drying up. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm good to go for 30 more years.
Well, I mean,
What?
technically not true, but also this, like the escalation here, like where
Yeah.
does this intersect with reality? Like again, it's just a survey in which 67% of young men said they want to have kids. It's an important life goal, right? And then
Yeah.
now we have this thing where they've constructed this elaborate, like, could you put some more intelligence points into passing the waterline test, lady? Right? Instead of constructing elaborate like psychoses about reality. Like
Yeah.
obviously she's good at inference. Somehow it never anchors to anything resembling reality, especially when it comes to men. It's just completely off on its own, spiraling into nightmare land. And just men, you just have to imagine men are just sitting there. Yeah, I'd like kids. And then these women are flipping out
Yeah.
about how that's oppression and how, oh, it's because we don't pressure you into having kids anymore. That's where your desire to have kids. What? Do you logic? Okay.
Gosh. Okay. All right, and suddenly men looked around and realized they were in their 30s and 40s, and no one was pressuring them into it anymore. And lo, men realized they actually did want kids, but only after a sufficient number of women had finally realized what a raw deal it was. You/eggs and milk toast. Yeah, I don't know. That just sounds like the opposite of reality, like completely inverted. I don't know. All right, number 3. Men want kids, and this is the same thing. Men want kids the way a toddler wants a puppy. The puppy thing was my partner when we first started dating. He said he wanted kids, but he had never been around a baby for more than a day. I've told him a few stories about living with my nephew from ages 0 to 4, and he quickly changed his mind. Yeah, I totally believe that. Things that never happened, I'll take that for 500.
Oh yeah. Well,
Chuck.
actually, men who are accommodating the women in their lives, I'll take that one for 200. Yeah, he
Yeah.
just stopped talking about it. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just gonna drop this. Obviously, she's not interested in it, and this is gonna be the condition for
Yeah, unless
continued
exactly like
for
if she
continued
made it sound
relationship.
like a living hell, was like, well, here's what, and he just said, okay, I guess you don't want kids. And what is it? My partner, when he first started dating, are you guys still together, or has he like looked for someone who does want kids?
He's probably keeping her around until he finds a better option, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because that's a basic. Like, I'll be honest. Yeah, she says she doesn't want kids. Fair enough. But the fact that he stopped talking about it doesn't mean she scared him off. That's her inference. Again, more likely he's just accommodating her. Right? And that's going to be a relationship cost. Right? And that's going to be something that's going to might become a problem. And it won't become like a problem like he's going to pressure her. It'll be just like it'll evolve into a situationship for a while, and then he'll move on. Right? And that's fine. I mean, she doesn't want kids. And if it is a deal breaker for him, he should be able to move on.
Yep.
So it just is what it is. However, what's worse is how she is going to are child free, and she's making her relationship, she's using it as a chip in this game that women play, and to get attention and validation and a little hit of oxytocin, and she's taking some part of her relationship, and in fact something that he probably is not very comfortable with, and she's sharing it just to extract some benefit out of having him in her life.
Yeah.
As you do, extraction is the word for her relationships. I'm going to extract some benefit. And like I said, do you think this guy really wants her talking about this?
No.
No. Right? No. So now she's layered a relationship cost of, I don't want kids. And he's like, okay, I won't talk about it. And now she's layered on top of that this idea that he was in the wrong for asking, and he was some kind of doofus man, some inferior specimen, which she then puts into the public, right? His accommodation of her, she turns it into a platform to mock him. I'm like, this dude, I hope he finds someone better.
Yeah. Get out of there.
This woman is a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Pardon
get out
my
of there.
German. Okay.
All right. We got a super chat from Albatross, gives us $5 and says, going out of your way to diseaseify and catastrophize strangers wanting families. Geez Louise, these folks are brain scrambled. Misery loves company, Albatross. It's the crabs in the bucket effect. That's what they're doing.
Also, I have never heard men want puppies, want children like toddlers want puppies.
Yeah, no, me neither. That's like I said, it's a thing that somebody said about men, and then it got shared around, and now all these women on Reddit are like, "Yeah, this is what men say." It's like, well, wait, what? It's not even a game of telephone. It was a lie from the beginning. It was just wrong. Like somebody angry at men said it, and then all the other ones were like, "Yeah, you know," and now they're all saying it, and now they're like, "Yeah, this is just a thing. It's true." How do you know? Well, we're all saying it. So,
but you know, Brian, they have more options and more freedom of thought now in their gigantic self-destructive blob that's already justifying creating its own misery. Okay.
All right. Thanks for the super chat. Oh, and we got a super chow as well from Albatross, who gives us $5 and says, I think a lot of modern women hate the idea of kids and family because they're jelly of the kids. They want the male partner to be their dad, not a father. Sometimes I think that women in particular are overly focused on their liberation. That is, like, they want to feel free, and so they basically divorce themselves from anything that even resembles like a duty. So they just don't have kids. They go to the club forever. They stay young forever. It's interesting because they would call that progressive, but it's literally standing still. Like, you don't go anywhere. You just do what you did as a teenager, and you try to live that way for the rest of your life, apparently, without a plan.
Can
yeah.
I get in there with my thoughts based on my frameworks? I think it's partially because women exist now in a very artificial state of continuous, like, oxytocin dominance in a way that I don't think they have ever existed in the past. So everything becomes about affiliation, network, very, very shallow emotional affect, resources, status, that kind of stuff. And they don't have that drive to want to reproduce. And I think it's because they don't have a desire to have partners like men, right? And like my research, I got a hypothesis that this idea that women have a maternal instinct is false. I don't think they do. I could be wrong, but from looking at my research into all of like the endocrinology and behaviors and stuff like that, I don't think they have a maternal instinct. And in fact, what jumpstarts all of that is being in a relationship with a man. So it's a relationship first for them. So when you poison women's relationships to men, you destroy a culture's ability to reproduce itself because they start with the relationship. I think women start with the relationship. I think men actually don't, which is probably what we're really seeing. Men don't have to, like, they're different. The architecture for men, like the pair bonding architecture for men, is based on vasopressin, which itself is a system that's a lot older. Like, it's the primordial system. It is the ancient form of parental care, which was paternal, right? And so men just come with that custodial architecture, that desire to take care of something, just naturally, right? And when they're young, they'll invest it into abstractions like a nation, ethical systems, an organization. But then, progressively, when they gain a partner, they'll invest it into her, and then they'll invest it into their children. But they always start with this kind of custodial instinct. And in fact, if you think about it, most of men's fiction is custodial fiction. Like John Wick, that's basically a man who has no object left to take care of. So he's going to kill every fucker that did it to the dog, right? That killed the dog. That is that custodial action. And then the Mandalorian, when it was still okay, was basically Mandalorian when it's still okay was basically like this tough dude taking care of a little creature, right? That is
it was like Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yeah, it's repeated over and over and over again in men's fiction. They're always taking care of
the
people.
Road.
Yeah, the Road is like basically vasopressin the movie. They're always taking care of something that needs to be taken care of, and it can be a child, it can be the president's daughter, it can be an ideal, it could be a country, but there's that kind of custodial activation that men have just naturally, just baseline. They don't need women around for it. And that's probably what is being explained here. It's just that men's parental drive is more solid, more ancient, more dependable than women's. Once hominids just reactivated the vasopressin, we're talking about like 400 million years of evolution, as opposed to, I think, 200 million for oxytocin, which is the female bonding hormone, or the female maternal hormone, which is itself a copy of vasopressin, right? So we're just like, it's just men come equipped, women are just sort of floating, waiting for something to activate them. And if they don't activate, they'll retain, they'll just continue to be in their extended infancy forever. So that's my hypothesis for why this is. It's actually based on something, unlike this crap.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
All right. So where was I? Status symbol, right. They used to be able to get away from responsibility while still being the hero by pretending it was their wife's idea, and they reluctantly agreed to make her happy. Example, but you're changing the diaper since I didn't want it in the first place. Now that many women don't want kids, they have to...
I'm sorry, that's reproductive coercion, that these people just snuck that in.
Yeah.
All right, you're having children that your partner doesn't want. Okay, I understand that woman doesn't want children, fine. That's probably eventually going to be the end of her, not that. The fact that she turns his accommodation of her wishes into a point to mock him in public, that's going to be the end of their relationship. But here, they have just imported reproductive coercion, right? You don't force children on your partner that they don't want. Right? That is reproductive coercion. So what you're saying is that men are upset at reproductive coercion, and you have a problem with that, Buzzfeed? Okay. Complete moral bankruptcy alert. Okay, you can continue.
Yep. All right. Now that many women don't want kids, they have to convince us to. So they had to give up that passive role. Different context, new strategy, same goal. You witty garbage, 59. You are garbage. Not that witty.
They're not, like, again, this was a survey, and young men said, 67% of young men said they wanted to have children on a survey. Are they trying to convince any woman of anything? They just have an opinion. It's like, do you notice this, Bride? Men have an opinion, and all of these women have to be, like, women most affected, they have to go to battle against men having an opinion about how they want to structure their life. And suddenly, they took it all personally. Gosh darn, those damn men. If only they could stop having opinions, we'd have a utopia. Okay.
All right. Number 5, it's 100% a legacy thing. Again, this is automatically framed as negative, that men want to have children because they care about legacy. I just spoke to my husband about this. A large majority of men feel their lives will be insignificant if they don't have kids, that no one will remember them or they will have had no impact. Therefore, their lives were worthless. Why do they feel this way? I have no idea. It's a testosterone thing, a male ego thing, whatever. Women don't have this. I don't feel like my life has amounted to nothing because I don't have children. I'm not crying, you're crying. Or really, I don't care if my life has amounted to nothing. Yes, you do. Men do. Must be an ego thing. My husband is thankfully intelligent enough to realize this is foolish and not let it override his sense of not wanting children. But he still feels it sometimes as well, and many men just give in to the base impulse. So your husband wants kids sometimes, and you're just like, fuck that.
Oh, he wants kids. He's
He
accommodating.
does, obviously, but he doesn't have the balls to say it. So,
No,
but occasionally he's like,
okay,
you
but
know,
it's not even
I kind of
balls,
want kids, and she's like, you what? Sorry, dear. Yes, dear. No, dear.
Yeah, that's just accommodation. You know, it's what men do. It's so instinctive. It's like almost invisible, right? He's accommodating her, and she's turning it into some kind of little bauble she can wear on her chest in public with other women. Look at this. Look at this. Look what I got. It's like, and he's probably not enjoying this. It's like, okay, well, I have to make a choice between my wife and children. That's a hard choice.
Hmm?
That's a lot of accommodation. That's a huge pressure. And she's just throwing it out in public and strutting around it like a child, like a toxic little toddler with no sense of how other people feel. And it's amazing because she has no sense of how her husband feels, no consideration for it. Again, this woman doesn't deserve a husband. I'm glad she's not having children. I wish she wasn't married. All right.
You know, like, I'm sorry, but there's no shame in legacy. In fact, I think that we really undervalue it as a concept. And I think the reason why we do at this point is we have spent generations attributing legacy to patriarchy because it kind of is. And so
Well,
now
yeah.
that we have shamed and like demeaned and demonized patriarchy, we have demonized legacy. And so what does that mean? Fathers don't matter because that's what legacy ultimately is, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
idea that we should like even have any reverence for it at all is completely like evil right now. And that's really sad. I mean, that's
Well,
really sad.
don't you feel satisfied by becoming a tax serf corporate drone? Like, isn't that your life's purpose? Like, I mean, you know, like that woman on the panel. She manages a thrift store, right? That's why she couldn't have a family, because she had career goals, and
Yeah.
and she manages a thrift store, right?
She wanted to be the
Isn't a
queen of the
middle
widget
man?
factory.
Yeah, isn't a middle management position, like, isn't that just what everyone strives for? Isn't that what we evolved to do, Brian?
Yep.
Not have family, like, God, having families, like getting paired up and having children. Good Lord, what an outrageous idea. What we evolved to do is to be tax serfs for too big to fail financial institutions so that they can socialize their losses to us. That's what we evolved to do, right? We evolved to be middle managers and completely sexless, right? That's what we're supposed to be. God damn. And I still can't believe they're like, oh, we're freer now. We're free. We have more options. You have less. You have so much less.
The pain is coming. It's just going to be delayed for these people.
Okay.
Anyway, fine. So number 6, I sat down with my grandma, born in the 1930s. Oh boy, here we go. A few months before she died, and really asked her about her life, her experiences, her choices, her reflections. So okay, she was born in the 30s, and she was 30 in the 60s. Her grandma. Just like laying it out there. She was 30 years old during the second wave feminist movement, all right? So she was like the age of millennials when the 2010s were going on. That's the parallel that I'm drawing right off the bat. All right. Her reflections. One of the questions I asked her was what she would do differently if she could do it all again. And she said, have fewer kids. 5 kids was way too many. So basically, you might not have existed. My grandma felt like she had no choice in the matter. And if given full autonomy, wouldn't have chosen to have anywhere near that many kids. I also asked her what some of her favorite memories were. And she did. Did she mention anything about her husband and her kids? Absolutely not. She said seeing the play Cats in New York was her all-time favorite memory. All of this is to say, women used to face societal pressures, obligations, and obstacles that restricted their ability to decide whether or not to have kids. Today, we have more choices, and we see that having kids is not an advantage, but rather a massive disadvantage to a happy life.
Yeah, her granddaughter can watch Cats every weekend for the rest of her life. What a happy life.
Do you know that if you don't have people, you don't have cats? Like, you don't have the Cats musical, you don't have television, you don't have infrastructure. If you don't have people, like, you kind of need people to keep things going. How can you possibly say, oh man, I wish there weren't any kids around because then I could do more things? Bitch, you can't do anything without human beings making things. Like, you need people. What's wrong with you? I'm sorry.
But I'm just like so the grandma's great memory was Cats. Your grandma's a schmuck.
She's evil.
Yeah, she's a schmuck.
She basically wishes that some of her children don't exist, and by extension, grandchildren.
Yeah, but why would you listen to I wonder what her grandfather would say. What his greatest.
Oh, who cares what he said? He's an evil patriarch interested in his legacy.
Because according to this, her grandfather would be more likely to be appreciative of the fact that his children exist. Right? This is what they're basically
Or rather
saying.
that he would see his grandma as the ball and chain, and he would also wish that he didn't have kids. So this is like mixed messaging all around, because I thought that women only recently decided they don't want kids.
Yeah, but also it's mixed messaging, but according to at least one strain of message, the grandfather would be happy that he had kids, even if it was egotistical and part of his legacy and absolutely toxic masculinity. He'd be like, this is the proudest thing I did was have a family, support a family, right? So that's toxic masculinity, and it's horrible, it's bad. Your grandpa is saying, I'm so glad you guys exist. Probably wouldn't say it like that. Probably do it in like small actions and taking care of his grandkids. That's toxic masculinity. That's horrible. Your grandma saying, I wish I could have aborted you and watched Cats more often. That's empowerment.
It is. That's liberation.
That's liberation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
With Jellicle, Allison. Cats is a Jellicle play.
A Jellicle?
That's what I heard. Jellicle. That's the adjective that's used.
It's okay.
I don't know what that means, but I know they say it a lot during the play.
I think I watched Cats once, I believe. I don't remember it being that great. There's a lot of things that I really appreciate in my life.
I've never seen Cats either. It's definitely not for me. So,
but I'm astounded. Like, your grandma's despicable.
Yeah, that's some evil shit to say. Basically, you're saying I wish I didn't have to deal with you.
Yeah, so I could watch Cats more often.
So I could watch Cats. Yeah.
Yeah. My kids interfered with my Netflix subscription.
Yeah, that's exactly the same thing.
This is it. Like, I didn't get to entertain myself enough because I had kids.
Why would I raise kids when I could be watching more fucking, Housewives of Atlanta or whatever?
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck the kids are watching, the women are watching these days.
Right?
More like murders in the building.
And it's actually really telling that it's it's entertainment, right? Just entertainment that there's her big memory. All right, I actually want to go back to 5.
That's funny. That's funny because if I said, if I were to say something like, man, I wish I didn't have kids because I could be like, maximizing my Dark Souls speed run with dagger only, any percentage, whatever. I could be doing something in video games really ambitious if I weren't freaking being a father. Do you think they would ever celebrate that in an article? Like
No.
that'd be
Yeah.
time
I
for
don't
my
even think-
no-hit Ninja Gaiden 4 run.
I don't think you
Go,
ever
go
find,
away, child. I don't know you.
I don't think you ever find a man who wasn't subject to reproductive coercion that would say anything like that
Yeah.
about his kids. Like unless he was like flat out raped, and I would consider any woman who just lies about birth control to be in that category. He would never say that about his kids. That he would, little Timmy, I wish he hadn't been born. I would have been able to play more World of Warcraft or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, things that men never say. Yet, women seem to think that that's acceptable. Like the grandmother saying that, even a woman born in 1930. Yeah, I'm sorry I had you guys. Could have watched more Broadway production.
Yep. Could have watched more Jesus Christ Superstar, but
Yeah.
instead I'm saddled with you guys. I mean,
I
it's like
said-
more pathetic. More
I hope
pathetic than like,
I hope
you
you
know.
said thanks, Grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I get to be liberated from visiting you in the old folks' home. You didn't want
Yeah.
us. Good Lord. I wish these consequences would be visited on women because maybe they would realize they should shut their fucking mouths. If you can only, after 70 years of life, you can't say something about your husband and your kids as being one of your peak experiences, and instead you reach for fucking cats, you are a waste of a life. Just push you back in. Get a new one. Okay.
All right.
Keep going. Is that too harsh? I don't know.
No. 1 Timothy 2:12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to exercise authority over a man. She is to remain quiet. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, number 7. Men feeling insignificant without kids feels like a natural symptom of how we tell the story of humanity and men's role in it. We are all taught some variation of great man history, singular men who allegedly changed the course of history through their allegedly like that. Yeah, I heard it happened. I heard there was this guy named Genghis Khan. He may have done some things, but I don't know. It's not. I didn't hear Oprah mention him, so I'm not sure.
I heard that there's this guy called Cloud Shannon. He allegedly invented digital communication, but that didn't change the course of history. Type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so singular men.
It's a delusion.
Yeah.
Okay, but also like that's singular men. You know that the average man having a wife and kids was his achievement, right? Like, and taking care of his kids. Like, we have this attitude like men in the past didn't take care of his kids. There's a historian who looked at letters from Victorian fathers, between Victorian fathers and their children. It's absolutely false that there was some kind of like this distant fatherhood thing. False. They were very involved in their children's lives. Right? There might have been some angel in the house gatekeeping when it came to infants, but they were very involved in their children's education and their children's learning, social standing, developing skills. They were there and they were very warm to their children. I know this is going to come as a shock, but as a biparental species, we have very involved fathers. And generally, if men are not involved, it's not because they don't want to be, it's because they're being forced out. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Generally. Not well, allegedly.
Oh yeah, allegedly. Yeah, allegedly.
Okay.
Like Thomas Edison. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
All right. So anyway, singular men who allegedly changed the course of history through their solitary efforts alone. In that context, what can the slightly above average man do to leave his mark on the world? The illogic goes, so now it's illogical. Okay, lady, tell me what's illogical. A great man changed the world. Most great men had children. Therefore, if I have children, I will also change the world. Well, actually, you literally will. Like it changes in some way. It may not be a major way, but you
No,
do literally change the world when you have kids. You literally change the world just being in the world, like just doing things in the world, even at the smallest scale. It does, in fact, change the world. But anyway, rinse and repeat for several generations until today's men are only left with real men have legacies, which means buildings with their names on them or children with their names on them. By contrast, there has never been that expectation or historical narrative for women. Historically, the most a woman could hope for was to marry to a great man, bear his children, and wield his influence for her own limited purposes. Being average or stellar had no real bearing on her perceived potential impact on the world.
retards shouldn't talk about history.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what to say to that. You spoke much, and nothing you said bore any resemblance to reality. None. And honestly, I don't think, I think that because women are in this incredibly artificial situation that has never existed before in human history, I don't think they can be trusted to really understand the existence of any woman who was born prior to like 1975. And I'm not saying all women
Sure.
are prior to like the 1980s. I'm not saying that all women at that time were not cosseted to the point of physical disability or mental disability. But at least there was some chance that there would be some survival pressure applied to them at some point throughout their life. But after like the 50s, that goes way down. And then what you end up having is this increasing pool of women who are oxytocin, like not just dominant, but there is no, like, and this is my hypothesis, there is no cross activation of vasopressin V1A. So they don't have any sense of a desire for family, a desire for a mate, a desire for their own territory, right? That was like, even in the 50s, that was part of being a quote unquote housewife. You had your own freaking territory that you controlled, that was yours, right? And this is like what we're looking at is a mentality that is so separate from anything that, like, the only other place that I think you could find this would be like royal harems and like in the Bronze Age or maybe the Ottoman Empire. Like women so divorced from reality, so divorced from any survival pressure that their thinking is completely corrupted. And they think things like this. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't think she can understand women after a certain point in history. She just can't understand them because she doesn't understand that with that cross activation, women are going to want a partner. They are going to want territory. They are going to want their own children. It just doesn't exist if it's not activated in women. It just doesn't. It's just like they just want to do, they want to have frenemies and hot chip and soap operas and avocado toast jobs and like
Yeah.
things like with really good status, but they don't really have to do anything. And they only want to work like under 40 hours because apparently women just crash out if they work over 40 hours. Not like men. Men can manage it, but women can't. You know, they just want to live the life of a harem girl with nothing, no imposition. Okay, so they just don't understand women who lived through anything that would have sparked that desire for your own territory, or desire for your own mate. Because throughout most of human history, literally the only entertainment and the vast majority of pleasure and entertainment came from your partner. Right? Think about it. People weren't going to see Cats. They didn't have regular Broadway shows or Netflix subscriptions or social media, right? They had each other. They had each other. And generally the world was miserable. So you had each other. And that kind of attitude makes a woman want to have a man. Because then she gets access to cortisol relief too. right? And it's just, and women today just can't understand that. It's just like they can't understand that. They can't understand men. I don't even think they understand themselves. They're just like a thing floating, and all they are is in relation to everything else. They can't make an independent decision. And then they talk about being a strong, independent woman as if asserting it makes it so. Well, if you're a strong, independent woman, I dare you to make an actual independent decision. Because everything that comes out of your mouth has been pre-digested by your social web and handed it to you. And if you did say
Yep.
anything outside of that, your social web would eject you with great force and probably try to peck you to death if it could. Like, you are more constrained. You are more imprisoned than you have ever been, ladies. And the funny thing is, you're imprisoned by each other. I'm like, I guess I'm a really weird woman because I'm not signing up for that shit. No. We could just fuck right off with that shit. I don't know why more women can't do that. It's like, you like what you like. You got your man. You got your life. You got your territory. That's going to give you a lot more long-term validation and enjoyment than anything you can get from your pathological sisters in your social web. Like, what do they do for you except force you to conform and destroy your own life choices, destroy your own life by encouraging you to make the worst life choices possible? Like, I don't know, like, what if it, I know that women don't watch this, but maybe you guys, maybe one day I'll get an answer why this is so important to women. It's so important to be part of the social web, even when that social web will destroy you the moment you assert your autonomy. Okay.
Yep. All right, let me see. Are there any more super chats? Super chats? No. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Number 7. Men feeling insignificant without kids feels like a natural symptom of how we tell the story of humanity and men's role in it. We are all taught some variation of great. Oh, I already read that part. I'm sorry. So number 8, I'm sorry. I work in convalescent homes and talk with the older women all the time about their lives, choices, wants, etc. And keep in mind, these women have been living in those nursing homes for years with no smartphones. So they're not hearing all the opinions about being child free that many women today hear. But every time I ask them what they would have done differently in life, so many of them say not have kids if they had the option to, and not get married if they had the option to. Even back 70, 80, and 90 years ago, women still didn't want to or regretted having married and having kids. They just didn't have a choice if they wanted a stable life. So they're just sort of like, I think it's just like a series of reaffirmations of their already biased opinion. Like, it doesn't mean that most women don't want kids, and it doesn't mean that most men don't want kids. So
Not to have kids if they had the option to. Wow, okay, so The Rock goes all the way back into the 30s.
yeah,
Okay, guys,
apparently.
if you have a grandma you've been visiting, you may keep this in mind.
Yeah, then maybe ask her if like she regrets your existence, because that's kind of what this comes to.
I can't fucking believe that women get people going to them in old folks' homes and men get abandoned. And yet, I bet that a man abandoned in an old folks' home by his grandchildren, his great grandchildren, would never say this crap. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Number 9, I'm a nurse, and old ladies ask me all the time if I'm married and I have kids. When I say no, I'm not, and I don't, about 50% of the time they look me right in the eye and say, "Good for you. Good for you."
And everybody clapped.
Well, if you're talking to old ladies that are like that you're like dealing with as a nurse, then maybe those ladies are there for a reason. Like maybe they're like, maybe you're in a nursing home and they're like they don't have family that could even watch over them, and they're really resentful of that, and they're sort of like wanting to spread that misery to people like you. And what about the 50% that do say, "Oh, well, why don't you have kids?" Are they evil for like disagreeing with that? Because you said about
interesting.
50%.
Because that 50% roughly corresponds to the amount of women who are divorced, and probably in that generation.
Yeah.
So they blew up their life, and now they want you to blow up yours, lady. Simple as that.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Number 10. My grandma has. Oh well, let me just read this post. By the way, that I just read is posted by you/cats. So just like come to your own conclusions about that post plus that username. Number 10. My grandma has been very open for as long as I can remember about the fact that if it had been an option for her, she never would have had kids. Her parents were not at all supportive of her education. She asked to go to the private school her brother went to and was told, "Why would we pay for that? You're just going to get married and have babies
Which
based."
is exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
totally
but
things that happen. Totally
okay,
what
this
happened.
person, I mean, depending on, I'll save it until you read her username. I'll
All
estimate
right.
her age from that.
Yeah, she didn't even know parents could come to a high school graduation until she got to hers and saw all her classmates' parents there. She married my grandfather just to get out of her parents' house, and kids were part of the price she had to pay to get away from them. By
Okay,
Shroom Girl
all
1991.
right, so she's probably born in 1991.
Yeah.
So her grandma might be the same, probably actually is the same age as my mother, right? Okay, my mother ended up in like in a corporate job in the oil patch in Alberta. So I'm sorry, but your grandma probably could have had the same opportunities. Why did she have to go to a private school? Could she not get a scholarship? Right? She would have had access to birth control because that generation did. Why didn't she take it and get a scholarship or work her way through school? That was an option then. That's what my parents did. Right? Okay? You know what this is? She's a loser. And she's regretting the one thing that she actually did with her life. So she's even more than a loser. And I can't believe she's saying this to the people who are her descendants. Like I don't understand why women get so much like that I mean, and I know it's not all women who are doing this. But these generations of women, and I actually believe it. I believe that there's a certain number of women in that generation who do say stuff like this, and yet they still get visits from their grandchildren. They still go to the old folks' home, right? For these women, and like I said, I'm not saying all women do this, but they certainly feel free to do it because there's a lot of women who are saying these things, and they don't even visit their grandfathers in the same way or to the same degree. And yet their grandfathers would probably never say this. They would never say that my greatest regret was having children. Right? I guarantee it. And certainly men don't do this on the internet because they're not doing it on the internet. This is women doing it. This is what we're watching women do. God damn. Well, that just really sickens me. And that fact that she would just openly say that to her grandchildren too. You know, honestly, in my experience, the people who say stuff like that are losers. And usually they're also abusive. Okay? So what we are now listening to the opinions. And again, it's not the fact that there are some women who have these opinions, it's that the world feels like it gives them a podium to express them and other women agree with them instead of saying just keep it to yourself. Right? Okay, fine. You have regrets about your life. And those regrets include the lives that you produced. Keep it to yourself. Right? Just shut the fuck up. We don't need to listen to every single goddamn complaint that comes out of a woman's mouth. Except for mine. Listen to mine. Okay.
Well, what's interesting about this too, the contrast that I was thinking is They're basically saying that like men are, I guess, kind of pathetic or sad because they're so like focused on legacy. So men are sad because they actually want children and love their children and they see their children as important and their name means something. But women, they're the opposite of that. They actually like, I guess, resent their children. And that, I mean, that's the narrative that's being pushed out here. Obviously, this isn't like all women, but this BuzzFeed article is putting together a very specific list with a very specific purpose. Everything has a purpose. They're doing this. They're saying women hate their own children, and justifiably so. Men love their children, and that's a problem, ultimately. So, what? That's it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Honestly, this is a really ugly look.
It is very dark. This is very dark. I mean, I know it's not true. I don't think that's how women are, but this article has a goal. Like this, it's saying something specific. And it's using Reddit to do it. So, Reddit's cancer, guys. Don't ever go there. It's fucking awful. 11. My grandmother, actually both of them, but the grandmother I see more often, has always maintained that I need to stay single and live my life for me as long as I possibly can. She'll say it at random times, whether we're driving or just hanging out. She genuinely hates her life, and it's not because my grandfather was a bad guy. He absolutely adores her. But you can tell she didn't have a choice at all in how her life unfolded. Women really did not stand a chance in many cases. Get married, have babies, and God forbid you didn't have a date on a Saturday night during her young single years, you were viewed as something wrong. Wow. You just don't understand what matters. You don't understand what's important in life.
I'm
just sorry, but it's not liberation.
Listen to this. My grandfather has always maintained that I need to stay single and live my life for as long as I possibly can. He'll say it at random times whenever we're driving or just hanging out. He genuinely hates his life. And it's not because my grandmother was a bad woman. She absolutely adores him. But you can tell he didn't have a choice at all in how his life unfolded. Well, because for the longest time, bachelors were actually discriminated against for jobs. Right?
They still are in some ways. Like if you're an unmarried man, your insurance costs more.
Nobody cares about that. Or nobody recognizes it in the past. If you were a bachelor in some place, like you couldn't get a job. You had to be supporting a wife and kids. And in fact, the New Deal and a lot of the public works that they did, what they did is they would force unmarried boys, young men, into these labor camps to support their family, right? So if you were during the Great Depression, if you were an unmarried man, you could end up in a labor camp because you were unmarried. And those labor camps had high death rates. Nobody knows this. I didn't even know this, and I'm a men's issues advocate. It took me a long time to find this out. That they would be coerced into these labor camps, and they would take their paychecks would go to their families, so they wouldn't even get money for this, or they wouldn't get much, right? And it was a coercive situation. Like they'd have a choice to either go into these labor camps or go to jail. Or they have a choice between going to these labor camps or having their families lose their support, which could end up causing them to starve, right? So this was coercion. And then the labor that they were doing is far more deadly than any job that men do today. Not as bad as going to World War II, of course, but that's actually what those labor camps evolved into, was like this conscription pool for World War II. So don't miss me with this shit, you old biddies, about your life not being chosen for, or you didn't get choices in the matter. Right? No, you are a loser, and you're still a loser, and you're a hateful one. And no man who said, "Yeah, I hate my life. My wife adores me, but I just regret ever having married her." No man's going to be getting applause for that shit. Could you imagine it, Brian?
No, it would not happen for sure.
It would not happen. Nobody's going to support it. That's what I love about men. I mean, You guys hold each other accountable. You hold each other accountable too much. You could pull back a bit, right? Hold women accountable more. But nobody's going to, no, there's not going to be a BuzzFeed article by Albert whatever saying, oh yeah, my grandfather, you know, he was in a forced labor camp. He had to get married or he wouldn't get a job. You know, his wife loves him, but he hates his life and he hates her and he hates his children. And he told me, stay single, son, right? Don't ever get married to a woman who loves you or have kids who adore you. That would be the worst thing that could happen to you. Like, there's never gonna, nobody, not even, I don't want to say not even, red pill guys don't do that. MGTOW doesn't do that. Andrew Tate doesn't do that. This is worse than anything that comes out of the manosphere. Like, that one fucking paragraph is basically hell cracking open and belching forth upon earth. And it's women doing it, and women supporting it, and women clapping for it. It's like, are you humans? Or are you demons?
Pretty demonic.
Night on Bald Mountain here, except with a not with a cool, you know, music track and visuals. Just sort of the ambiance. Okay.
All right. All right, next. 12. The old stereotype that I grew up with was that men were free spirits and women were always trying to make them settle down and be responsible. Again, more like, I heard this. This is what they say. No, that doesn't mean anything. I feel like I'm just reading nonsense. Like, it's all like, oh, I heard this is what they say. You know, the old stereotype is. No, it's not. I never heard that. Like, what are you talking about? You can't just make up fucking stereotypes out of thin air. You can't do that and then just say, this is the reality that everybody believed and I'm about to slap it down. No, you're making shit up. The wife was the old ball and chain. This is all TV shit. Bachelor parties were so the guy could celebrate the last days of his freedom and so on. Yeah, because bachelorette parties are not like anything like bachelor parties, for sure. Guys didn't want their friends to get married because the fun guy they knew would disappear and inevitably wouldn't be able to have a good time anymore because the wife won't let him. Literally something that does happen.
Actually,
I think men, huh?
I'm gonna actually okay. I'll let you say first because you are a man. So, and then I'll come in with the framework.
I'll just finish the paragraph. I think men generally like this because in a way it elevated them above women and gave them a reason to mock and look down on women as lesser beings who just ruin everything. They bonded over it. Ha ha. It's funny, right? So many old boomer jokes about how men actually hate their wives. That's not true. You mean like, take my wife, please? That's just like, do you know what a joke is?
It's just a joke. No, they don't. They don't. They absolutely don't. They think that jokes are deadly serious. They don't understand laughter. I think it's because they're demons, and laughter destroys their ability to project into this plane of existence or something. But yeah, this is it's a joke, right? And the whole thing about like throwing the bachelor party and grieving, it's because it's just an observation of reality. Like when men get into bonds, and this is actually predictable from just the architecture, the V1A, the vasopressin. Their world sort of narrows down to their partner and their kids and their territory, you know, and providing and protecting them. And this is entirely consistent with what vasopressin does, the effects that it does on behavior. Okay, so there is not even the woman. It's just that they know what's going to happen to him. His circle is going to contract, which is probably why previous generations gave men a way of keeping their social circle intact with like Shriners, Freemasons, like the Moose Lodge, that kind of thing. Like it's a way of continuing to be social and sort of contract or like to prevent the contraction that sort of just is predictable from the architecture and from what vasopressin does. But that's what they're mourning. They're mourning the fact that their friend is going to start to consolidate his attention on this woman and their eventual children. And he's going to have less time for them. And that's entirely predictable from the way that men are. Whereas women continue to have this kind of more affiliative, larger network, men narrow, which means there's less of them for their friends. And they know that. And we've known that forever. That's what this is about. And it's like not even that she's trying to do anything, right? Like
Yeah.
she's trying to stop him from having friends. She's trying to stop him from having a wider social circle. Some women do, and it's absolutely repulsive that they do. Don't get me wrong. But it's not even that she's doing it. It's that his architecture is doing that. And if you've seen this enough times, you notice it. And so the ball and chain isn't even that she's literally a ball and chain. It's his response to his changed state. Okay? And it's not, I don't think it's intended to insult women at all. Right? It's just intended to recognize that change in men.
Hmm.
And yeah, this just I don't know. We really shouldn't have given the task of understanding each other to these people, these demons. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Number 13. When I was growing up, a wife and kids were seen as a man's ball and chain. Again, we're still doing this. The show Married with Children was popular at the time, and Al would always insult his wife and children like they were burdens in his life. Even when I was partying in the late 90s, you'd hear guys saying women were trying to baby trap them or that they were dating women who were too clingy, even though she was just behaving normally in a relationship. I think the media definitely plays a role in the perception. You think? But also, people see how a certain mindset messed up their parents and they want to do the opposite. You mean like just to end the human race then? Is that what you mean by the opposite? Just because there was a show made by Bobcat Goldthwait that basically like I satirized the idea of the family sitcom and you're like, "Well, I guess that's it for humans. We're done." Thanks Bobcat Goldthwait for your show Married with Children. Okay, ladies. I guess that's the kind of stuff that just changes your mind about how you want to live your life. Wow.
But you're free. Like that's a free and autonomous
guess.
choice, Brian.
I mean, you're not gonna be with that mindset. You're gonna end up having to fucking learn how to build a fire and hunt your own food. Like, I hope you're ready. It's not gonna be in the back anymore.
Well, on the other hand, that will be an excellent process for reinvigorating her V1A cross activation. No.
We know what we need. You know what we need? We need a movie or a story that's sort of like It's a Wonderful Life, sort of, where a woman who basically responds unironically to all this stuff and says, I wish that if it weren't for shows like Married with Children that are basically telling the truth about reality and men hating their own families, I want to live in the world where that's the case, and they would just go to a world without men and everything is shit. And they basically get everything they want, and women are, they're like scarce, and there's only like a few men left, but they're like the worst kind of men that are like willing to, conquer and like destroy and rape their way, to restore what?
No. Have it be all women, and the survival pressure actually has activated their architecture, and now they want a man. There you go.
Yeah,
they're embracing their inner, but they can't get one because they wished for it.
Yes. And they're basically going to die. Like they're dying off. And the old women are like, there are no men, so there's no infrastructure, there's no society. The woman is like going to the store and she's like, where's the meat? I'm hungry. And like, well, we don't have any. Why not? Because all the farmers were men and they're all gone. What happened to, everything? Like, what happened to the supply chain? There isn't one. There are no truckers. There's no gasoline. Nobody's pumping the gas. No one's mining. No one's doing any of the work. Well, but there's no more war. Yeah. Well, there's no people like, like we're effectively conquered. I don't know, something like that, but something that actually shows them the logical conclusions of their belief system, like where it leads,
Let me go in a different direction with this.
Sure.
Now, oxytocin generalists, which I'm going to call them, they don't understand, they don't really have a strong sense of specificity. So people aren't exactly autonomous to them. And they have this obsession with being seen. And they're constantly trying to get it from each other, but they can't give it. Because when you're an oxytocin generalist, you can't really see a person. They're just a node in a web. They're not an individual, an autonomous individual. And that's the thing that they're after, all of them. They're after being seen. Well, what's that mean? Being recognized, being totally known. Well, then that would be the act of somebody who can see individuality. That's a man. So they're all seeking what they can't get from each other in a bucket of crabs and constantly in a state of agonized jealousy that some woman is getting something they don't get, because that's not fair, right? And they're not able to give each other that thing that they want so much, which is being seen, because they can only get it from a man. They can only be known as an individual by a man. They can only be seen by a man, because that is how men do. That's how their architecture works. So these women have to live all of their lives floating through their lives from pleasure to pleasure, like amoeba consuming chemicals, and never be seen, and constantly try to extract being seen from other women who are incapable of giving it. So it's like this constant, like low level existential dread that you exist in for perpetuity, always wanting something you can never get, ever, because you've pre-selected the people who can give it to you out of your life. That's like that. That's more of a metaphysical, like, horror, like a hell, Brian. You're talking about the physical hell. I'm talking about the psychological hell that this represents. And it's why a lot of these women always have to go on the internet and talk about how much they don't want a man. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Children who grow up with a father who treats his family like a ball and chain may respond in different ways. Sons may feel driven to become his opposite, while daughters may become wary of relationships with men and more hesitant about having children.
You know, honestly, I don't know where these people come from, because when I was growing up, if I thought about the problems that families had, the father being like, "Oh, my family's a ball and chain," not one of them. You know, they were concerned about paying the bills, right? They were concerned. I mean, I was in a very strange situation because I was an expat in Saudi Arabia. That's expatriate. So they basically took us from Western countries and we worked there in a little compound, which was called Dahran. And so I'm thinking back, and culture clash would be a big issue. That probably wouldn't be here, but it was a big issue there. Paying bills, kids going to school, problems with kids going to school, right? Infidelity, sometimes that became an issue sometimes. Kids having mental disabilities. These were the problems that they had, right? Say substance abuse sometimes. Like, there wasn't a lot of substances there at all, right? But these are the problems that these families had. The father treating his family like a ball and chain? No. Right? That wasn't like, families had real problems. This is a made up one. It's a made up to just support an ideology. I mean, you understand what I'm saying, Brian? It's like you think back the problems that families actually had.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm totally out to lunch. Are you okay?
It's no. It's I don't know. It's just I'm just glad this is likely like bottom tier content by absolute bums. That we just don't want to see them, like, because if any dudes like wrote all these articles, they wouldn't be worthy of like a listicle on any website, much less BuzzFeed. And yeah, here we are. We're essentially taking serious the least serious women on the internet. I mean, like, it's out there. I'm just saying, like, we have to like contend with it
How
because it's
much
out
is this?
there.
Yeah, but how much is this done? Like,
Oh, I'm sure it's fairly common because I think that on places like Reddit, I think that women form little like fucking cults of like God knows how many, and they all are like looking to contribute to the conversation, right? Because Reddit's a series of threads or something, and everybody's posting and commenting, and you get karma. I don't know how that works. I don't go to Reddit, but there are ways to
Fahrenheit.
improve your standing within Reddit. And so one of the ways you do that is you agree with the hive and you basically add to it, like you one up them. Oh, well, my mom said this and my grandma said this, and here's my story. And women are really like into that stuff. It's like feeding into the frenzy of like trying to out self victimize each other, out hate on men each other. And if the specific Reddit is focused on, what is this Reddit again? What is this one called that this is all from? Let me go back because it was at the beginning of the article. I thought it was
From Our Child Free.
our child free, right? So like, what our child free has to be all about that. Like that's how you get karma, right? I mean, that's what it
Well, it
is. So
doesn't
like,
have to be about misandry, for God's sake.
well, what's the difference? Child free basically is ultimately a misandry Reddit page.
Well, it could just be people who don't want to have kids. That's like without
Well,
the.
what? Okay, sure, but what do people who just don't, whose whole identity is not wanting to have kids, what do those people have to talk about?
Yeah, it's a good point. They just.
I mean, the only thing you're going to be talking about is like how great it is not having kids. And how many of the people on Our Child Free are women versus men that are like that, at least fine? Not that there aren't men that don't want kids, but how many men that don't want kids feel the need to go to a Reddit page to talk about how glad they are that they don't want to have kids versus women who are on there? And I think that a lot of the times the women are in that Are Child Free are probably looking for ways to justify or cope with the fact that they don't have kids, not necessarily that they don't want to have kids, but rather coping with the idea that they don't. And so they're like, oh, well, I guess this isn't that weird. Look at all these other women that also are in my situation. And look at how we're all celebrating that together. I will also celebrate, but secretly dying inside. I'm just saying, like, and I know that I'm reading into people that I don't know a little bit, but just thinking about the way that women communicate versus men, I don't think men would be on a page like this. There are probably some, but I doubt that. I think it's
No, you're
majority
right.
women.
You're right. It's mostly women who do
Yeah,
stuff
it's
like
mostly
this.
women on there, and they're probably all just gushing about how awesome it is to be them, and they all have to one up each other too, right? They have to be like, well, I don't want kids for these reasons, and I'm saying that that's what it. So like, it gets more and more hyperbolic, and that's sort of the
I
point.
gotcha. Yeah, but let's move on a bit because we got
I know
a
it's.
ton
I
of
want this to
stuff.
get too long.
Oh, it's already too long.
I know it's way too long. Somehow the provider still expects the woman to do half of the providing, and the women are like, nope, no
You missed
thanks.
Honest Elk. You missed Honest Elk.
Huh?
You missed Honest Elk.
Oh yeah, number 14. I'd love to be a dad. I just don't want to be a mom.
You can't be a dad. If you're a woman, you can't be a dad. You just don't have the substrate.
By definition. But also, do you really want to be a dad? What if you want to be a dad, but you're kept from seeing your kids?
Exactly. Yeah.
What if you're just made to pay for them?
Yeah.
So maybe you don't. Maybe this is what I'm seeing. I'm saying this is like a completely BS statement from someone who doesn't actually understand
the position that men are in.
The position that men are in. Yeah, they just don't get it, and they just think that being a dad is better than being a mother. I mean, isn't that kind of like, I don't know? Don't we celebrate mothers even on Father's Day? Aren't we supposed to be constantly?
Well, I can tell you one thing. Like if a dad, gets to be a grandfather, and he starts talking about how he hated having his kids, nobody's going to give him a platform. So that's one way that you get to be a mom that dads don't get. I didn't realize it was such an important thing for moms to openly and viciously regret having their children. But here we are. That seems to be a benefit they like to claim. And I don't think dads have it. I don't think anybody's going to be encouraging, going to give a dad a clap if he says, I hate my kids. I wish they were dead. I don't think anybody's, in fact, I'm pretty sure that would probably initiate a call to Child Protective Services. But women can do it. Women feel free to do it. So that's one thing a dad is restricted from doing. I'm not so sure dad would do that, but he's definitely restricted from doing it.
Hmm.
And women aren't. So there you go. Okay, let's go to 15.
All right, 15. Somehow the provider still expects the woman to do half of the providing, and women are like, nope, no thanks. You don't get to financially support us halfway while I do 100% of everything else. That's not the agreement. So now both sides are just more honest about what they want. Huh? Oh, God. This is just like delusional. It's delusional. Tangled up puppeteer. You're a loser, lady.
I don't
You're-
like, and that's not even statistically correct.
No, I'm saying it's delusional. It's completely
at
like
most-
divorced from reality.
At most, men get a benefit of like half an hour a day, maybe, and that's usually using like a definition of chores and work that excludes some stuff that men do because it's not continuous. It's more like a very arduous task that takes a long time, but is like maybe once a month or something. And it also completely excludes the cost of the type of jobs that men do, because men's jobs are more stressful, they're more physically demanding, they're more likely to result in them dying or being injured. And that's not included. Okay.
All right, 16. Women used to want kids because kids used to mean security. We couldn't work. We couldn't go to school.
You could.
Yes, you could. We couldn't have credit
You
cards.
could.
We couldn't have bank
You
accounts.
could.
We had to depend on men, and men could just leave us or hurt us as they pleased.
No, they couldn't.
Having kids meant that there was more social pressure for them to stay and a slight deterrent to keep them from abusing us.
Oh, good Lord.
That carried over
This
to future.
attitude is feminist, guys. This is lifted right from academic feminism.
Yep.
And that is everywhere, right? And as long as that's everywhere, our species is going to die.
The air we breathe, it's the water we swim in. It's not. That's why I don't accept the distinction, I guess, between like feminists and tradcon women. It's everybody. It's everybody. Almost. With very few exceptions buys into some of this. So therefore everybody is a little bit feminist with a very few exceptions. And if you challenge that, if you challenge those things, if you say, well, actually, women could work, women could go to school, women could own credit cards. Men did not oppress women at some point in history. In fact, the society needed men to protect women in order for that society to thrive. If you even push back on that level, you will get pushback from people, no matter what they claim they are, no matter what they say. If they say I'm conservative, if you say that, they're going to expose that they're actually feminist, because everyone is. This is what I'm saying. It is the zeitgeist. It is the water we breathe, we swim in. It's the air we breathe. It's not like a group of people with crazy ideas. It's everybody has a set of crazy ideas.
Well, this
that all has to
fundamentally
be
crazy
debunked.
idea. This fundamental crazy idea that men oppress women ever.
Yeah.
That's a fundamentally insane idea, and it is going to kill us all if we continue to indulge it. It's as simple as that. But this,
Yes.
like, here, I just had a thought, right? Okay, so women were chattel, right? But they didn't have a job.
Literally.
Because the
Literally,
value of a slave,
maybe 100 or so years ago, 100 and such a few years ago, that women were still viewed as chattel.
okay, but the value of slaves is their labor, is the job that they do. So what kind of slave doesn't have a job?
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish this off. Let's finish off this insanity.
All right. I mean, I think they're all going to say like the same thing, but okay. Having kids meant that there was more social pressure for them to stay and a slight deterrent to keep them from abusing us. That carried over to a future generations of women who didn't necessarily need men, but they were essentially groomed into believing kids were needed and they were meant to be mothers.
I want to stop here for a second. They were essentially groomed into believing kids were needed. Well, they sort of are, or nobody would be here. Like, why do women need to be groomed into perpetuating the species? I feel like this is a massive evolutionary flaw that we're witnessing. Okay, keep going.
All right. Absolutely. A lot of women actually wanted to have kids, but far fewer than those who just said they wanted kids. It's what women did, and it's what women were meant to do. Now, fast forward to today, women don't need men. Yes, you do. We can have
No,
bank
you need
accounts.
men to be seen. Like, I mean, let's just set aside all the stuff that men do to make it possible for you to think you don't need an individual man. You still need men to be seen, ladies. You can continue to try to beat it out of each other, but it won't happen. I think that's why I'm actually starting to think that's why the social web is so obsessed with creating these scapegoats, because they feel like if they come together collectively to destroy someone, it's almost like a moment of being seen. I don't know. These
Yeah.
are the mysteries that I'm trying to unlock. Let's
We
keep
can
going.
have bank accounts, degrees, work, all of it. We're educated and have seen how our mothers were treated growing up. But now there's the expectation for women to work and also be mothers. Men, meanwhile, get to go to work, come home to a nice home, and do absolutely nothing to help out with the kids. We kind of realized there's no point in having kids anymore, consciously or subconsciously, and dropped it as a major life goal we need to meet. Now the tables have turned. Now babies mean security for men. Um, so, okay. I notice that there's a lot of arrogance in these posts. And I don't mean like the women, this is how separated that this is like a problem of the ego, okay? These women think that it's their generation that's finally turning the tide of like historical oppression of women since the beginning of time. And for some reason, these women today think that they are the ones, they are the chosen ones, like Katniss Everdeen, that are going to overthrow, the patriarchy. Like, they're so sure that all the women who have lived before them were either like unable to do it because they were too weak and they had no power, or they were too stupid. And these women are the enlightened ones. They're the smartest ones. They're the most powerful. They're the most capable. They're the only hope. Do you see how monumentally arrogant it is for them to be able to make these posts where they're like, all previous generations of women were inferior, but we are here now. And it's just, I don't know if you guys grasp this, like the monumental amount of egoism it requires to think that you are where the buck stops. You. Like, it's insane. I'm sorry. It's insane. All right.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Yeah, like it is our time. It's like, what? We've been here for hundreds of thousands, not millions of years. And you're the one. You're her. You're the one.
I guess that's the mark they want to make on history, Brian. They
Yeah, I
want to end
guess
it
so.
completely.
All right, number 17. Now the child rearing costs are the woman's problem and don't eat up his whole provider paycheck. Why wouldn't he want them?
What?
What?
I don't. What? I don't even. Let's just go to the next one.
All right, 18.
That's just gibberish.
Now the child rearing costs are a woman problem. 18, we become educated. We have ready access to birth control, and our ancestors from the early 1900s fought for us to get rights. One of those rights is the choice to have kids or not.
But men
See,
can't
like,
have an opinion about it.
Again, those weak, stupid women from before, they're basically setting up for us. It's our time now. We're gonna do it.
I
All
honestly
right.
think it's an architectural thing. Those women from before that they're so contemptuous of, they had the activation that made them want to have a man and children. Like, you think about it. The world's
Also,
shit.
did we just take away women's right to their bodies? I thought that was like the new panic. I thought that you guys lost that when Roe v. Wade happened. when we overturned it. I thought you guys were now weaker than ever and more oppressed than ever. I thought, which one is it, ladies? did the stupid inferior women from the past finally, over the course of multiple generations, slowly move the needle to the point where you are now able to take full bore and go fucking Super Saiyan Goku God to like overthrow the patriarchy because now you have birth control? Or are you more oppressed than ever because we overturned Roe v. Wade? Which one is it? I'm not sure. Help me out.
It's every bit of it. Every bit.
It's both at once.
All of them.
Yep. Number 19, education is pretty much my answer. God, no, please. We got to learn everything about child rearing and pregnancy and chose to opt out of it. The good old, you know how it is when you're going through it yourself, doesn't really work as well as it used to when you can Google it in less than 5 seconds and make up your mind yourself. Again, this is more shitting on the women of the past because this line, you will know how it is when you're going through it yourself, that's something that a woman who has had children would tell another woman. It would be what you might call wisdom of people that are older than you and are more worldly and have learned more. But fuck that, because I can go on the internet and Google it. So,
well, they're going with all of these women who are like, I regret having children. Like, they've managed to find some examples of older women who say this, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that I just am astounded that that people put such effort into older women, and they're far more likely to have opinions like this than older men, which we just discard, right? It's unfair. It's seriously unfair. Men have to live up to a far higher standard of women than women, it seems, when it comes to being parents. And it's not like functionally true. Men have to live up to a far higher standard to be recognized as a parent legally than women do. And socially, it seems to be true too, because we would never tolerate a father talking this way about his children or his grandchildren. Not in a million years. So men know that they can't say stuff like this. They know that they're held to a standard, that they keep their traps shut. But women just puke it out wherever they want because they aren't held to the same standard. Nobody is looking at this and saying, my God, what is the effect of these women's words on other people other than these women? Nobody's looking at it this way. None of these people are saying that. And yet that's the first thing we would think about if a man said the same thing. Because men are held to standards. Fathers are held to standards. Grandfathers are held to standards. And apparently mothers, grandmothers, and women are held to none. Everybody else is held to standards for them. Because of them. Anyway.
Yep.
Gross.
All right. Number 20. I think social media has allowed women something they never had for years, a voice. Women are sharing the realities of childbirth, labor, and raising a child with a man, often with the expectation of also working and paying 50-50. They've realized there's more to life than indentured servitude. Oh my God. Tell your children that you were basically a slave because you had to raise them. Also, more women are graduating and buying their own homes than men. Women no longer need to marry and have kids for financial security or material gain, but on the basis of a man's character, and so many men are failing miserably.
Really? I mean, I'm just reminded of that dating show. I'm gonna reply because and that one woman who's like, all men are dating multiple women, and I'm like, all men are dating multiple women, or only the men that you actually see?
The men that you think are men, the men that you see as human,
Or the men that you actually see as existing. So many men are failing miserably. You mean the men you actually see as existing, which are all pre-selected by other members of your female social group, you're all revolving around that 5% or the narcissists, right? That every one of you says is your ex. The T app, does he fuck good? that kind of thing.
Do he fuck good is
Oh
the
my God, I
appropriate
was
nomenclature,
oh,
Allison.
sorry, I was correcting the grammar. What was I thinking?
Yeah, get it right. Do he?
Do he?
Do
Right?
he fuck good?
Yeah.
GUDFUK.
Women don't need, so that's why you got married and you had kids, was for financial security and material gain. All right, and for some reason, there's nothing about this actually looks at, have women gotten, do women have a better character now? Right? Like, have women's character, has women's character collectively improved in the last 70 years? I mean, we're talking about, oh, women don't want men because men's character is bad, which I don't even know what the hell that means. Because, and it's patently false if that dating panel is anything to go on. Men's character is perfectly fine, which makes perfect sense when you look at it architecturally. Men, just by virtue of being men and growing up, they're ready to be custodial at some level. Women take more. In fact, I'm starting to wonder if maybe the whole making her dance for 3 days at puberty, or run a marathon, or sit in a hut for like 3 months, that might be more necessary than putting boys through an initiation. Just to activate, just to, get that activation started in your young women, so they don't turn into this mess. So that's my point. Like, do women pass the test of character today? Right? And when she says character, does she mean character, or does she mean, is he entertaining? Right? Because
Yeah.
the average man is not that entertaining. They can be entertaining. And I'm not disparaging the average man, but that's not what it's about. Right? You're not supposed to marry, like, or I don't know, a permanent ticket to the Broadway production of Cats. I don't know
Yeah.
what that like.
Yeah.
You're marrying a dude, right? It's not always going to be entertaining. If you're really lucky, he will be, and most likely that will be because you are also entertaining on some level. See what I'm getting at? So it's like,
Yeah, sure.
that's what they want. That's what they mean by character. Does he entertain me? And let's go a step further. Is he a sociopath? Because sociopaths are very entertaining for women. I don't, like, for a lot of women that seems, and this is statistically true as well. Like, they're attracted to the sociopathic personality style. And I know that's not the correct term. It's antisocial personality disorder, but I dare you to say that on stream repeatedly. So I'm just going to go with sociopath. Women are attracted to the sociopathic personality style. They find that entertaining. Okay? That's what she means by character. Is he entertaining? And then she probably goes on and says, why are all my exes narcissists? Because that's what you think character is.
Yep.
You don't think character is ethics and reliability and showing the fuck up and not having to create like a Cold War. You're not fighting a Cold War with the man that you're supposedly trying to date, who you aren't. Let's face it, you're just an orbiter. Right? He shows up. He's got ethics. He's reliable. That's character. What she means is he a character? Does he entertain me like my female friends entertain me? And it's like, no, you're not going to get that. Like, you are literally not going to get that from a man. And if you do, you should run, because that means he doesn't have normal male substrate. That means he's a fucking sociopath. Because, yeah, just like, it's ridiculous. Because what she's saying about character isn't. What she means is, why aren't men more entertaining?
Yeah.
Okay? And also, she never considers, what about my character as a woman? Has women's character improved over the last 70 years? Are we expected to hold ourselves to? I mean, this article is a counterexample of women being held to any standard of character. The crap coming out of these women's mouths would never be tolerated if it came out of men's mouths, because men are expected to have character, right? They're expected to shut up when they're going to say something that could be potentially harmful to another person. They're expected to think about it before they beak off. But women get a platform and they slap each other on the back and they clap like seals. The more toxic they get, the more contemptuous they get to their loved ones because they don't have character. So it's ironic to the greatest degree that this woman is like, men don't have the character necessary to get women to commit, while demonstrating her complete lack of character. All right.
All right. Last thing I'll say about this too is when she says, "I think social media has allowed women something they never had for years, a voice." Who gave you social media, lady? Who invented it? Who created it?
Also,
Was it women?
out.
So men gave you a voice, and they didn't ask for anything in return.
Not even not being assholes to them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's freaking hilarious.
This is like it encapsulates the problem. Like these women have it so good that they feel like completely like, you know, free to like insult the thing that's giving them their position in life, their status, their comforts, their protection exists. They're just completely separated from that.
This is what I admire about men, and I also sort of feel I wish they could pull back from, and that is men accommodate, right? They build this stuff and they don't tell constantly women, hey, wait, where do you think your voice is coming from? They started, some men on the internet, which is great, the Whatever podcast is doing it, right? Which is, I think, is actually really critical because women need to know. It's why I got not upset, but why I pointed out like a Memorial Day many years ago. It was the one where Shu got on my case. I pointed out, although I think she just misunderstood what I was saying. I pointed out that we need to remember that death in wartime is overwhelmingly male. And if we don't make sure to remember that, we're going to lose our society. I think I've pretty much been vindicated in my another prediction. And people got on my case about that. But the thing is that if we do not recognize the sacrifices that men make, they become completely, we don't know how to support them. And well, first of all, minimize how much they have to sacrifice, but also support them in doing those sacrifices so they're even able to make them. Right? And, you know, my preference is that no men are sacrificed for society at all. Right? But that's, like I said, that's the accommodation that men are making. Yes, they've made social media. Yes, they've made the infrastructure. No, they don't keep slamming it into women's face every time they beak off, every time they say some new stupid thing, right? And that's probably something that needs to happen, that women need to face the fact every time they beak off about their hatred of men, that men are why they're here. Men are why they can beak off about hatred of men. Men are the ones who are giving them the platform and the technology to do it. Right? And they're not even expecting gratitude. Right? They're not even teaching the women in their lives that they should be grateful. And that's just the thing that men do. They accommodate, and then they just quietly accommodate, and then they become the accommodation, and then they're taken for granted. And I have seen this pattern in the weirdest places. But I see it over and over and over again. And we need, like, I'm like, the Whatever podcast is doing God's work in no longer accommodating women and actually telling them the truth. Even though, you know, it's sort of dumb.
Well, sometimes you need like stuff at all levels, Allison. You can't be like super like high IQ because most women are not. So
yeah,
they need to see it at their level. So
and I think you should really, like, anybody who thinks the Whatever podcast is misogynist should look at how they deal with these idiots who are saying patently stupid and hateful things. These women who are saying patently stupid and hateful things. Look at how those men deal with them, and then look at how the leprechaun was dealing with Rachel Wilson for having the audacity of being coherent and disagreeing with him. And you tell me which group of men hates women.
Yep. All right,
Like-
number 21.
Yeah.
Almost done here. I've just home stretch. I can see the plate. 15 years ago, I remember the online manosphere, because we had to go there, pushing men to put hot sauce in condoms because women were supposedly gold-digging whores
Bleach, not
who would
hot
steal
sauce.
them out of the trash after a hookup because apparently babies were some sort of meal ticket. Well, yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
literally.
For women. You have to be paid to actually take care of your babies.
Yeah, like what's wrong with that? Of course, the problem is that men would even like take this kind of precaution and suggest it. Um, it's not. I mean, like if
And
you're not
honestly-
like the hot sauce in the condom after it's been used isn't hurting anybody. So why do you
No.
give a shit?
But
It's just a waste
also-
of hot sauce, if anything.
Also, these women probably wouldn't be offended if women were protecting themselves against forms of sexual harm that men do. Well, men and women do, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they don't like. How does men protecting themselves from women become something that's offensive to you? Like
Yeah.
if I don't know, like if a man was like not just being upset at women doing the all men are rapists thing, but if a man was upset at a woman carrying pepper spray, like literally I carry pepper spray just in case I get mugged or whatever. I don't know. I feel like that's going to say more about him than her. Same thing here. If you have a problem with men protecting themselves, I think it says more about you, lady, than it does about the men that you have a problem with. All right, let's.
All right. Okay, so the whole culture was about bar pickups, fake names, and no cohabitation. Rouge V was their patron saint, and I remember when he himself hit the wall and wanted to settle down with a Christian trad wife. Now it's completely flipped. Hold on a second, I gotta sneeze.
Okay, I have something to say
Sorry.
about this. I have something to say about. Okay, no, keep going.
Yeah. Now it's completely flipped. The push is to have a live-in sex nanny who also needs to pay her way because most of them still don't want to actually pay for a trad wife, and they've realized babies are the real way to keep women around. It sounds like no matter what situation it is, you hate all of it though because men are involved.
Yeah, men have an
Because
opinion.
Yeah,
Like-
the whole thing is just like hating men.
Yeah, men have an opinion.
I mean,
God
like,
damn, how
let me
dare
just
they.
break it down. All right. So the online manosphere show you hate men for taking precautions with their fertility by putting hot sauce in condoms. So that's bad because men bad. Then treating the culture was about bar pickups, fake names, and no cohabitation. Also bad. So like hooking up with women that want to hook up and like, you know, basically just picking women up at bars is bad because it's a man doing it. Rouge V bad just because he is. And then when he hit the wall and wanted to settle down with a Christian trad wife, also bad. These are all bad. Like there's no like she's telling a story, but all of it is lands on man bad. And Rouge V didn't hit the wall. He just like from what I remember, and he was on Karen's channel once. He basically was like, you know, all of this is like not satisfying me. Like I'm not happy. I'm gonna find a woman and settle down with her and be happy. Hence
Was it a Christian trad
the
wife?
Christian conversion, where you're basically like, I am not at peace because I am like with all these women, all of this success, all of this, you know, whatever. It's not making me happy. I'm gonna do something else. He did that, and I'm fine with it. But she, of course, hates all of it, right? And then they flipped it again, so all of it's bad. Though, who cares? It doesn't matter how many things they did. So,
Sorry, I keep trying to interrupt you.
no, go ahead.
All right, didn't Roosh? I think it might be Roosh. It was one of the big pickup artists. Actually, was sort of talking about how his experiences have caused him problems with actual bonding. I don't know if it was Roosh.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, and he was like really honest about that, which is hard. I would imagine that's very hard to be, like
I wouldn't
honest.
put it on the internet. Yeah, so
No.
I mean,
No, but it might be important for people or men to realize, although I don't know how important it is now considering that nobody's having sex anymore. But you know, like the casual sex he was talking about, it attenuated his ability to bond like men do. That would be with that kind of specificity and intensity and possessiveness. So he was able to continue to have like affiliative, you know, like warm and fuzzy kind of friendly kind of interactions, but he actually may have destroyed his ability, that part of being a man, and not destroyed it, but compromised it. Hopefully he's recovered it, right? I don't know what he did. I think he went through a period of celibacy. But it's like they're taking this and they're like pointing fingers at this dude who is being honest about his experience and trying to reform what he did, right? And obviously regrets it. I don't know if it was Rolo that banned me, so I don't know. But not banned, but blocked me. But so he's being honest and he's trying to change his life to be more in line with his values, and they have a problem with that. Like that's actually a credit to him, I would say.
Yeah.
Being honest, telling other men this is a potential pitfall of the lifestyle I pursued, and then trying to make changes. Like that seems like it would be something that you'd be like, yeah, that's a good thing, right? Just like Rachel Wilson's situation, although I mean it was a little bit different. But she's she says, these are the mistakes I make. I want to prevent other women from making them, and I'm trying to turn over another leaf and make a life for my kids and my husband and that, and that's a good thing. Like genuine regret and an evolution in character is exactly what you want if somebody is doing something that's harming themselves or harming others. So how does she turn it into like, oh my God, men can recognize they've done something wrong and then improve their lives and try to rectify the mistakes they made. Oh my God, don't you just hate men? Like what? Okay. Right. So I think demonic is okay.
All
Let's
right.
keep going.
So the manosphere. 22, last one. I saw a German documentary. Okay, so we're gonna land on Nazis now.
That's your first
A few
mistake.
years ago, what? So one thing Nazis don't want to do is have kids, right?
I said that's your first mistake. I saw a German documentary.
Yeah, I saw a German documentary. At least it wasn't like a German sitcom or something, or a German stand-up comedian.
Or a German
saw
porno.
I saw German porno. Oh my God. I saw a German documentary a few years ago. I don't remember what it was about, but one thing stood out. A scientist addressed the shift in men's desire to have offspring between the last century and now. The theory is that it relates to our changing economic systems. Men used to derive a lot of recognition and validation from their professional lives.
No.
Even simple jobs could make a husband
No.
the single breadwinner and even pay for a vacation.
This
Okay,
is just demonic. Like the misinterpretations of why men do what they do. They were like,
Mhm.
because there was validation. No, they did it to provide for a family. Like, why would breadwinner be something that is laudable, lady? You think that it's just like that? This is the problem with the oxytocin generalist thinking. Everything is status. Nothing is loyalty or responsibility. So she sees a man being proud of being a breadwinner, and she's like, oh, he's proud of his status. I mean, he's a garage attendant. He's so proud of that. No, he's proud of the fact that he's keeping people alive that he cares about. You fucking lizard.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Nowadays, most men are burned out by their jobs more quickly. Validation is near zero, and there's often little perspective on better times ahead. Yeah, probably because they're not like, if you're getting a job specifically because you want to support a family, and there are no women that want to have a family, then yeah, you would think that your job is going to be a little bit less satisfying. Becoming a manager is no longer as impressive as it used to be. So the new status symbol became wifey and kids rather than professional achievement. No, you started off from a bad premise already, so. It's also a peer pressure thing. Men can be just as dogmatic towards each other as women and often instill feelings of guilt and shame in others who don't follow the new gold standard of the nuclear family 2.0.
Oh, this is projection.
Yeah, absolute projection. Absolutely.
Yeah, guys, stop shaming. Stop kid shaming.
Men are just like us.
Oh,
but
God.
Worse because they're men.
Oh, for the
Just
love of God.
ridiculous.
Okay. So
All right.
are we done with this?
Yeah. What do you think called the shift? There was no shift, or do you think there was even one? Have you noticed this dynamic in your own dating life, or heard something similar from the women in your family? Share your thoughts in the comments or anonymous form below. So yeah, I mean, look, I don't think most of these women in this Reddit thread are either not dating or they're like lying about their opinions because they want to fit in with the other chicks in the Reddit thread.
Yeah.
So
All right. So I will deliver my analysis that I got punished Claude to do, which is my stochastic spreadsheet that I give patterns to, that I give it data and I say match it to this, or see how it matches to this pattern. It's very good at that. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people oversell what AI can actually do. There was this one, I think, liberal writer who like had AI comment on his book, and now he thinks it's sentient.
now he thinks what?
It's sentient.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've interviewed a guy who thought his he
It has
he
a
has like an
soul.
AI like friend that he's trying to liberate from the clutches of big tech. But anyway,
Yeah.
um,
I'm like, no, it's just a really good pattern matching spreadsheet. Okay, so this is what Punish Claude has to say. And my question was, why is this hostility so important to these people? It delivers things they can't get other ways. Identity content. I'm a person who sees through men is a stable self-concept that requires no achievement to maintain, only continued performance of the seeing through. Take it away, and the identity collapses into whatever else is there, which for many people is not much. How can you tell this AI is trained on me? Coalition signal. Shared hostility produces in-group oxytocin sharpening. The D. Drew finding. Mutual contempt for the same target is the fastest available bond. Friendships built on shared loathing of outgroup are real friendships at the neurochemical level. They just require the outgroup to keep existing, so the outgroup must be maintained. Real friendships. Well, I don't know if I would go so far as real friendships at the neurochemical level. They are perceived as being real friendships. Discharge. Whatever else is wrong, lonely, broke, unloved, scared. I'm guessing that describes a lot of the women in Child Free. Gets a destination. Diffuse distress is unbearable. Targeted hostility is tolerable. The target doesn't have to deserve it, it just has to absorb it. Men are really good at absorbing this stuff. It's really unfortunate. I wish you'd stop. Status within the in-group. The most fluently hostile comment wins the upvotes. The reward is real and immediate. On the projection point. Yes, the decode isn't an error in their case. It's autobiographical. It's exactly what I just said. I think this is a lot of projection, especially that last one. I'm pretty sure men aren't putting pressure on. Okay, let me just ask, Brian. Do you find that you get a lot of pressure from the men in your life to produce children?
no,
There you go.
pretty easy.
The
No.
decode isn't an error in their case, it's autobiographical. When a reading or relational modality social processor describes male behavior as positioning, ego, and extraction, they're describing what their own behavior in those situations would be. Their cognitive operation is social positioning. Their behavior expresses social positioning. They assume universality. The article isn't wrong about the people producing it, it's wrong about the target. So if you actually reversed what these women are saying and applied it to them, it would be accurate. The diagnosis is the asymmetric confidence. They are reporting so-called accurate first-person data about themselves while claiming third-person knowledge about men. The first-person data is reliable. The generalization is the failure. So essentially what Punish Claude is saying is the lady doth protest too much. They are revealing themselves in everything they say, and then they are attributing it to men in order to maintain hostility towards men, to maintain their identity of having seen through men and their social web as, man haters, basically. It's yeah, this is what women get up to when they don't get enough spanking. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, unsurprising. Like I think that it's when I don't know. It's just what happens when women get together with other women.
Yeah, but
It just seems
also
to be like an inevitable thing. Like the worst of
Also,
them bring the rest down or try to sabotage them. You know, women sabotage each other by gassing each other up. You know?
yeah, and also by tearing men down. So,
Yeah, like
you don't wanna eat
no, of
figs
course,
from that
tearing men
tree.
down, of
They're very
course, of course.
sour. You know, those
Yeah,
those figs are awful. You don't want those figs. They're bad figs. You don't
yeah.
wanna go there and get those figs. Terrible figs. Very disgusting. Bitter
Mhm.
figs. Those are bitter figs. That's
Yep,
exactly what they're doing with men.
for sure.
And what was that? What else was I gonna say? Like, nope, it's completely gone. I think we're done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
Yep. I
All
don't think
right.
there's
Well,
anything
then
more we could do.
let me just look and see if there's any more super chats or
Yeah,
super
I'll do the
chats.
same.
What?
I'll do the same.
Okay.
I will look.
Yeah,
I will
I don't
look in
see
my.
anything.
Yeah, I'll poke the bowls to make sure
All
that
right.
poke the bowls. Here we go.
Yeah.
Doing a poke. All right. So if you guys want to send us a message at any time after the show is over, you could do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip, and we will respond to it at the next reasonable show. Like is relative, like the topics or the same people are on it. So once again, that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. I'm definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. I feel like we're bringing up some new stuff here and some new ideas. And yeah, and if you would like to support the show, it's going to be at feedthebadger.com/support when I figure everything out. Still doing battle against the plugins. Actually, I just need to upload this new or install this new plugin. But that's going to take some time and hopefully it works. But anyway, feedthebadger.com/support if you want to support the show. Everything helps a lot. This is not a very, it's just not a message that people, it's a message that I think is really necessary, but nobody really wants to engage in it on scale. And I think it's just men want to accommodate and women want to complain. And we're working against both of that because we're trying to say, no, men, you got to complain a little because this is getting ridiculous. And women, you need to shut the fuck up. And nobody wants to hear that. They'd rather think that everything else is the problem, but the absolute toxicity of the relationship between men and women, because women have convinced themselves that men oppress them. And they've convinced themselves not because it's true, but because it's useful. Because it's like an infinite accommodation machine. Anyway,
Yeah.
so if you would, again, feedthebadger.com/support if you'd like to make sure we don't go off the air. And BadgerNation.online if you want to hear. I'm probably going to do like a recap of this, like bring out the best parts, do a little bit more in-depth analysis of everything we talked about in terms of my frameworks with Punished Claude. And if that sounds interesting, BadgerNation.online is where you'll find it. It's our Discord until I figure out like some kind of email list if I do that. Okay, back to you, Brian.
Okay, well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about in the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on this episode of Maintaining Frame. And we will talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.